Looking at the past two console generations, there have been many gaming experiences that we as players have been able to enjoy. PlayStation has been making really great single player experiences. Xbox, despite me not owning the console and lots of people making the brand look bad, it really looks like to me that Xbox has been creating really fun multiplayer games for their players. There have been also tons of third-party games too that really connected with so many players, but for me personally, the most impressive feat of the past two generations has to be what Nintendo managed to do with their hybrid console, the Nintendo Switch, which now celebrates its 7th anniversary this March 3rd. Depending on what sphere you find yourself in the gaming world, it does at times become a bit hard to fully understand how much of a success story the Nintendo Switch actually is. Okay, yeah, the Switch is currently the third best-selling video game system of all time, around about 15 million units behind both the legendary PS2 and Nintendo DS. But the success of the system goes a lot deeper than that. Nintendo, from the way I see it, have changed their overall course, and because of this new direction, they aren't in the console race anymore. They're doing their own thing, simply just creating gaming experiences for everyone. Nintendo Switch is probably my favorite gaming console. From its portability letting me enjoy quality games on long flights, letting me play games when I'm on holiday with friends, and even in my own room, at my desk or on my bed. There is so much to love about the system, and I want to make a personal retrospect on this console and why I appreciate it as much as I do. So, to start this retrospect on the Switch, we need to go back to Nintendo's prior consoles. I know a lot of people have heard enough about Nintendo's failure during the Wii U time period, so I won't catalog the Wii U's entire history, just my experience with it, which was, overall, a very good one. When the Wii U released, I was pretty young. I wasn't following gaming news or general gaming overall. I didn't read reviews, and why would I? I would see a trailer or a game's box art and choose what I liked from that. Back then, I didn't play games the way I do now, where I look at stuff critically and analyze what can be felt from these games. I just played them for the sake of playing and having fun. Looking at the menu of the Wii U, it was just so much fun. The menu theme was filled with many Miis running around, along with the Miiverse posts that would pop out from a Mii every so often. It was a very fun way of creating a social community, and using Miiverse was one of my favorite ways to spend time on the system, commenting on the posts, posting dumb things, and messaging players across the globe. It also worked on the 3DS, and that too also had its own share of exclusive 3DS communities. It felt like one of the best social medias for young gamers, and it was a lot of fun, and if you wanted fun, there was lots of fun to be had on these two Nintendo systems. Some of my fondest gaming memories were made playing on the Wii U and 3DS era, like playing Mario 3D World or Mario Bros. U with my cousin, Mario Kart 8 on Nintendo Land at small get-togethers, Pokemon X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and trading Pokemon and battling friends. Even the Metal Gear Solid 3 demo on 3DS made me play the game as efficiently as possible to maximize my playtime. But my favorite game during that era was Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. Oh man, were those good times. Playing as my favorite gaming characters like Sonic, Mario, and Samus was and will always be a good time, with that really fun classic mode, All-Star Smash, and limited online mode. But Smash 4's final moments with the release of its DLC characters was where I think Nintendo showed their major Switch, sorry for the bad pun, but I remember the day and moment Cloud from Final Fantasy VII was revealed to be joining Smash 4. Having grown up primarily on Nintendo hardware, I never played a Final Fantasy game, but this trailer really got me excited to play as him and eventually try out the series. Cloud, at the time of his reveal, was seen as one of those impossible gaming moments, since Square and Nintendo had not been on good terms, if we can call it that. Although Cloud's inclusion to Smash was not what inspired Nintendo's change in presentation, I think it was a step in the more mature direction. Not quite sure if that's the right word, but let's take a look at the Switch. I won't get into too many specifics, but I gave away both my Wii U and 3DS when I was younger, so for a while, I was without a Nintendo console. But in 2018, I remember opening up the box under the Christmas tree and was overjoyed to see the Nintendo Switch with the Smash Ultimate Edition. It's kind of poetic if you think about it. My final moments playing the Wii U in 2016 was with Smash 4, and I was getting back into Nintendo again with Smash Ultimate. But as I got the system set up and started downloading Smash, I noticed something. Better said, the lack of something. Color. Maybe mood is the better way to phrase it. The Switch's home screen was barren. Although, yes, I only had Smash Ultimate on the main menu, but there wasn't much else to be seen here. There was no direct way to interact with my Mii, no bouncing game logos, and no Miiverse. However, by lacking this color, the Switch main menu does make one thing pretty clear in its minimalist design. it's ready to play games. There is no fun in games to distract you or keep you waiting, it's just power on, look menu, play game, and repeat. It also makes it easier to switch between games as well, thanks to this clarity. However, despite this more streamlined menu theme, I feel that something is just lost from the past generation. The lack of background themes for the menu, lack of a direct way of communicating with my friends, not talking about the mobile app, no community-driven way to interact, no ambient soundtrack, and not even a dedicated me app. It's that fun spirit that I miss whenever I start thinking about the Switch's menu. The life of the system that sparked a sense of happiness whenever you boot up the system, which now simply isn't there. I guess we are in a different era of Nintendo now, and the menu itself is a reflection of this change, but that doesn't mean I can't miss this old spirit. But fortunately for us, we don't need to spend a lot of time on the home screen with the many games that have graced the Nintendo Switch's library. So now let's take a real good look at the games that made the Nintendo Switch what it is. Where does one begin talking about the Nintendo Switch's games? Do we start at the very beginning of its life cycle with games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, or the incredible Wii U games that got a second chance on a more popular console like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze and Pikmin 3, or the many third-party games that were deemed impossible to port like Nier Automata and The Witcher 3, or games that set franchise sales records like Metroid Dread and Fire Emblem Three Houses? It's a real tough topic to start talking about because really, the Nintendo Switch has tons of games. Ever since the Switch's release, Nintendo has nearly published a game every single month, and that's saying something. The output Nintendo has done for its console is staggering, and what makes it even wilder is the unknown or known fact that Nintendo has many games ready to release, but are shelved until the right time to release them. Nintendo's lineup is so stacked that they have a surplus of games. But you know what? I won't talk about the games in chronological order of release, but rather the games that made the different time periods of my time with the system. So that means we can start with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. If there is any game that I would recommend a new gamer to try out, Smash Ultimate would be that game. Ultimate is really one of the biggest achievements in the history of gaming. It's a very easy party game to pick up and play for beginners, but has enough depth to it that it turns into a competitive fighting game. Fun moves, stages, arcade modes, items, and even a decent single player experience. It's an incredible way to spend time playing. But although as good as Ultimate is, it has one aspect to it that makes it truly GOAT material, and that is how it celebrates gaming. From the many characters across Nintendo's repertoire like Mario, Ike, the Duck Hunt Dog, Link, and so many more, to the characters outside of Nintendo who have come to join the brawl, with Sonic, Snake, Joker, Steve, Sora, and more. There are Mii costumes that celebrate other franchises like Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry, and Undertale, to spirits that replicate how certain characters would fight in Smash like the Resident Evil characters. Although there are still many iconic franchises that aren't represented in Ultimate, what is here is mind-blowing, and it also serves as an incredible way for you to find out more about games and the characters you liked in Smash, making you inclined to try the games where they originally debuted in. Back to Smash for the Wii U, seeing Cloud get in was what made me pick up Final Fantasy VII and made me a Final Fantasy fan, and the same goes for the other franchises represented now in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Metroid, a series that I've always wanted to try to see how cool Samus is. Persona, seeing its style and incredible music made me want to try them out. Xenoblade, with Shulk's cool counter and gimmick that made me want to experience the Grand Saga. It's for this reason of discovering more games why Ultimate is probably the best game to pick up first for a new Switch player, and it helps a lot that like 95% of the franchises represented can be played on the Switch. And speaking of one of those franchises, I think we can talk about Metroid. Although I am a very recent Metroid fan, talking about Metroid on Switch lets me talk about three core elements that are a part of the Switch: re-releases, Switch Online, and franchise records. So my first Metroid game was Metroid Dread, and looking back at the year it released, it's probably the best game to have released in 2021. It's a game that I can just find myself picking up at any time I feel like, just because of how good it feels to play, running through the game in as fast as time as possible, or taking my time to 100% complete all the items, or even putting myself through Inferno by playing on the one-hit Dread mode. Although the soundtrack isn't nearly as good as the previous games, bar some exceptional bangers, Dread also shows how console power doesn't have much to do with the visuals. The majority of games built for the Switch have exceptional art direction that makes the games look incredible, from Super Mario Odyssey and Wonder, the Zelda games, Xenoblade, Monster Hunter Rise, and probably the best looking game on the system, Metroid Prime Remastered. Prime Remastered may not be the most successful game on the system, but it does show how good the Switch can run games, but also how much effort Nintendo has put into bringing older titles to the hardware. This year, we're getting Luigi's Mansion 2 on the Switch, a remake of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and also another Code Recollection from January of this year. But even before this, the Switch got Skyward Sword HD, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Bayonetta 1 and 2, Super Mario RPG, and more. Although they aren't all equal, as some are ports, simple remasters, or full-on remakes, they are re-releases of games that either help players get more familiar with Nintendo's established franchises, or giving them a second chance on a larger install base. I mean, Pikmin 3 was the best-selling Pikmin game on Switch until 4 released, and Nintendo also released both Pikmin 1 and 2 for the Switch, letting more people play the franchise. Again, Metroid Dread is the best-selling game in the franchise with 3 million units, and I think it really shows how much of a success the Switch has been in growing fan bases. But not all games have gotten brand new releases or re-releases on the Switch. Celebrated series like Star Fox, Mother, and Golden Sun haven't gotten new entries in their series for many years, but Nintendo hasn't forgotten about them, as some of the games are playable on Nintendo Switch Online. Switch Online is a very hot topic to talk about, not only because it's yet another subscription in the vast ocean of subscription services. The quality of NSO is also up for debate. NSO, in a nutshell, gives you the ability to play games online, access to Nintendo's own emulation of NES, SNES, and Game Boy games, a discount to get 2 premium Switch games for €100 through 2 tickets, sporadic game trials, and a not so well advertised way to get exclusive images to make profile pictures and stuff. All this for the mere price of €20 or dollars per year. Truthfully, I think this is a very fair price, mainly for the emulation stuff, premium discounts, and game trials. I do still think that having to pay to play online games is quite outrageous, even if the price here is lower compared to both PlayStation and Xbox's online services, but it's still just not right. And having exclusive profile pictures is a minor bonus, but I would much prefer them being free and added to the Switch's honestly disappointing amount of avatars. However, NSO also has an expansion pack for an extra $30, and it adds some more features. The ability to play N64, Game Boy Advance, and Sega Genesis games, and a select group of DLCs like the Mario Kart 8 Booster Pass and the Splatoon 2 DLC pack. Now, is that worth it? Well, if you got the free base games of Splatoon 2, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and Mario Kart 8, and have never played N64 games, as of right now, the expansion pack is pretty decent. There are some great classics on offer like Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, Golden Sun, and more still to come. So, although Switch's online multiplayer servers aren't the best with very limited online functions, from a purely game perspective, the price here for the games that you're able to play, in my eyes, is worth it, and it will be interesting to see how Nintendo will continue to improve NSO for their next console. I'm not going to beat around the bush. The Nintendo Switch is on its final legs, and we will be seeing some sort of new console or successor either this year or the next. 7 years, that's a very long time for a console to be on the market, especially if it's running on hardware that is older than that. For this next console, what do I want to see Nintendo do? I'm not quite sure. I think the console being backwards compatible and still being a hybrid would be a great and smart business move considering the current install base of the Switch, and apart from just generally making the system stronger, I can definitely see them making tweaks to the dock, beefing up the system whenever it is in docked mode. As for the games for the system, Metroid Prime 4 is a guarantee, and in fact, I would even like them to release it for the base Switch this year to fill out this year's lineup of Nintendo games. A new 3D Mario would also be pretty exciting, but I think with new hardware, the idea of Nintendo games getting an option to improve frame rates and other technical stuff would be incredible. Take Tears of the Kingdom, for instance, which already runs like astoundingly well considering what the Switch actually is, the hardware itself, but on better hardware, it can reach even higher heights. But my biggest hope is that Nintendo brings back that missing color, themes, or something to make the main menu more welcoming, better ways to connect with friends, a place to create communities of your favorite games. Maybe not fully go back to the 3DS menu screen or the Wii U one, but something a bit more flavorful than what the current Switch has. However, whether or not Nintendo implements these changes to the Switch 2, it doesn't change the fact that what the Switch has already achieved is something very few consoles have done. Having some of the best-selling games ever, which I have not mentioned the astounding amount of copies that Mario Kart 8 or Animal Crossing have sold, reviving dormant or not so popular franchises, being able to play state-of-the-art games on the go or at home, and just simply being a great device to play video games on. My few minor gripes with the system aside, those are just nitpicks and I'm biased. Some of the best games I've experienced have been on the Switch, and even if the Switch 2 is still a ways off, we've still got the Switch to play games. I want to thank you for watching all the way to the end. It really does mean a lot. If you did enjoy the video, a like and a subscribe both mean a lot, and a comment with your own thoughts as well is much appreciated. Other than that, thanks again for watching and have a good rest of your day, night, and week. And with that, Storm out.